What's going on, gamers? How you doing? This is Hud Xero, the old school gamer, now the Iron Heart of Xbox. And how you doing? This is Gamers Play Open Mic. Sorry for all the technical difficulties. Of course, things always tend to happen. So let's wait a little bit on. Let's see if we get any more. Get a few more viewers here. This is the first time I've actually done this, so let's see how well this actually turns out. So all right, so I'm gonna wait a little bit longer. All right, it's gonna be like another 5, maybe 10 minutes, and then we're gonna get started. What's up, everybody? How you doing? This is Hud Xero, the old school gamer, and welcome to Gamers Play. How you doing? This is my open mic where I discuss everything about gaming and what I think about the gaming industry. If this is your first time coming to my channel, please feel free to hit that subscribe button and hit that like button and share your feelings about what I talk about today. But first, a word from our sponsor. So, let's get started. There's a lot of saturation in the light, so I'm actually going to fix that. Okay, let's bring this down a couple of notches. Beautiful. All right, here we go. Well, how you doing? Well, if you do not know by now, you never know. My name is Hud Xero, and I am an old school gamer at heart. Been gaming for a very, very long time, since I was very young. First game console that I ever had was the Atari 2600. It actually belonged to my stepfather, who actually so kindly brought video gaming into my life. First game that I've ever played was actually in the arcade. It was known as Time Pilot. If you remember that game, it was actually pretty awesome. Time Pilot was an arcade game which you would pilot a ship through multiple universes who actually goes through a series of time, and your goal is to shoot as many planes down, and as you shoot the planes down, you fight a mini boss, and once you destroy that mini boss, you will go to the next area in time. It's basically all about getting high scores, and I was all about getting high scores. When I was very young, I actually got a high score, and the owner of the shop was actually pretty surprised of how well I was doing. So, long and short of it, I'm gonna get back to the 2600. One of my favorite games I played was Adventure. If you are pretty much born in the 2000s, you probably remember from Ready Player One, where Adventure was one of the games that was to be known to unlock the greatest treasure in all the world, and everybody got it wrong. And of course, there was a cheat or a secret that nobody knew about. There was actually the very first Easter egg of a video game. So pretty awesome. I remember playing Asteroids, played Combat, played Grand Prix, some of my favorites. I know that in television actually created games for the Atari 2600, like Mario Brothers and Donkey Kong, and those were licensed by Nintendo before Nintendo came out with their own console. So yeah. Man, gaming, Zaxxon. I can go on and on. There's Zaxxon. There's let's see, a few other games that I actually loved. There's a game that I got for Christmas. I believe it was He-Man, Masters of the Universe, The Power of He-Man. I had a really, really good time when I was actually growing up gaming. And then, of course, throughout the 80s, of course, arcades were the big thing. I am a quarter muncher god. I love quarter muncher games. Arcade games were my jam. Some of my favorites was Hang On, Space Harrier, Afterburner, the sit-down one, by the way. Let's see. Pac-Man, Miss Pac-Man, Galaga. Uh, there was a game that some people don't remember, Megazone, that was actually made by Konami. Then there were some other ones like Dig Dug and Mr. Do. Those are some of the games that I actually grew up playing. I was good at some of them. Like for instance, Defender was one of the most difficult games with how many buttons it is, and it's really all about reflexes. Loved that. And Joust, another great game. Midway had a huge share of the dual stick games, such as Smash TV, and earlier was Robotron, and of course Root Beer Tapper. But the one that I played was actually called Bud. It was called Beer Tapper, which actually had the little lever that you can use. It looks like an actual beer, beer tap. So you could actually do that to actually fill the beers, and then when you let it go, it actually you let loose the jugs. Great times. Then of course, when I was also growing up, I actually got myself the Atari 7800. I got it for my birthday. The first one that I got from my father actually was broken. It was busted. It actually came with Pole Position 2. Another great arcade game coming home. Trust me, if you remember Fuji is the bane of my existence, and still to this very day. But once you actually understand the very deep turns and curves of that, and actually able to get first place, you will actually jump for joy. My mother actually got Miss Pac-Man for herself, by the way. She loved Miss Pac-Man, as does anyone else. And yes, everyone remembers the abomination that was Pac-Man for the Atari 2600. We also did have that game. Yeah, I wasn't a fan of that. Boo doop boo doop, bump 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 bump. Remember that? Yeah, of course. And I was just a video game head. All I ever think about is video games. I can't wait till I get home to actually play video games. But then again, I also did spend some time with my friends. My friends had the NES before I did, so I was able to go to my friend's house not too far from where I lived, and I got an opportunity to play Mario Brothers. I got to play, what else did I get to play? Mario Brothers, Batman from Sunsoft. Another classic, amazing game. Let's see, what other games that I played? What's it called? Pro Wrestling from Tecmo. There's a Pro Wrestling or Fire Pro. No, it was Pro Wrestling. Pro Wrestling, the only NES version, and then there was actually another Pro Wrestling game that came out from Tecmo that actually had cinema scenes, and an announcer that kept on announcing all the moves that you actually made. It was pretty awesome. Then of course I got an opportunity to play the Sega Genesis, which was pretty cool. I got my first opportunity to play Sonic the Hedgehog. Now, before you go any further, the first game that actually was that I actually got an opportunity to play was Altered Beast. Now that was another arcade game that came home. It was the closest to the arcade at the time. 16 bits was a big deal. So of course I was begging my mother to get me a Sega Genesis. I never did. I also wanted a Sega Master System. I never did. My mother worked very hard And she also went to college at that time as well. So obviously, I get an opportunity to get a lot of video games. So, but I was like, oh well, I guess you could say I was addicted. Um, further into my life, of course, I was able to get more games. I got my own NES. Well, I believe it was actually on my 11th birthday. I got the NES for Christmas and Legend of Zelda Gold cartridge. Yes, Legend of Zelda was like my jam. I played every night. Every single night I played Legend of Zelda. And I always try to figure it out, all the puzzles and clues. And then my mother surprised me with a subscription to Nintendo Power. Now, everyone knows that Nintendo Power was like one of the best Nintendo magazines of all time, which actually had tips and tricks, and it also did have all the upcoming games that were coming out. So that's why I found out about Ninja Gaiden. Yes, that's right. That Ninja Gaiden, one of the greatest cinematic video games of the 8-bit era, made by an amazing company that knew what they were doing. I actually enjoyed the heck out of playing Ninja Gaiden, and my mother surprised me with that one. By the way, I actually came home, and I was like, "Oh wow!" And I played Ninja Gaiden. I played it to death once again. I remember the days that I had the NES on. I left it on. I think it was in the morning, and I got to a certain point, and there was no saves. There was no saves in that game. You could not save the game in the middle of the game. There was no saves points. This is before the days of memory cards. This is before the days of save clouds. This was a day that you had to finish games to completion. You get as far, and you hope against hope that you're actually able to finish the game. I got into, I believe it was the final boss in Ninja Gaiden. I went to school, and I came home to disarray to find out that my screen was blinking. I looked at the screen, and I looked at my NES. It was covered in milk. Yes, my NES was covered in milk. It smelled nasty, smelled rancid. It smelled like it was actually pretty much most of the afternoon, and the thing was just blinking. And I quickly turned off the console, took out the cartridge. My cartridge was covered in milk. The top of it was covered in milk. The vents were actually with milk. And I was shaking out the console, and I was wiping the outside of it. But then I realized that the inside still smelled like rancid milk. Yeah, it's a nice little story for you. And the NES still worked. It still worked great. But the only problem was that the games did not function the same way that it did. Remember like blowing into cartridges? There's a thing. If this is old school, okay, we used to take the cartridge. If the cartridge did not work, we would blow really, really hard, and then we would put the cartridge in, and then it would actually work. Unfortunately for me, it took more than that. I had to take the cartridge. I had to blow into the cartridge. I had to put the cartridge in. Now, the thing is that I did not put the cartridge all the way in. I actually let it grind against the thing, and then I shake it like this on the lip of the game pack. And then I would actually press play, and it would actually work. And all the games would work like that. So I did that for almost every single game. Brand new games, not so much. Old games, yeah, I had to do that all the time. So, but going further into my life, of course, I actually got myself a Sega Genesis actually through my brother. Super Nintendo. I actually got the first Super Nintendo from working at Rodney's Video Warehouse. And that no longer exists. The owner was very shady. But I worked for him. You know, I was like about 13 years old. I think it was 13, 14 years old. And I was just helping, just moving TVs and stereos and actually unhooking. I got a lot of knowledge from playing, from doing that. The only reason why they hired me is because I actually had a lot of video game knowledge. And of course, they actually was getting the Sega Genesis, and they also got some arcade games put into the store as well. So we were getting arcade games and all that stuff. It was pretty awesome. So yeah, it was pretty much a dream of mine. You know, I was like, yes, I'm in a place that sells video games. Yes, it was awesome. Yeah, but that was short lived, of course, because I actually had to do after school activities such as I was doing track and field at the time, so I wasn't able to play as much. But I got an opportunity to actually sample and play and and play the Sega CD. Yes, that's right. I was the first one before everyone else, before it actually got released. I got my hands on a Sega CD. I was able to play it. I played the demo disc that came with, and I believe the demo disc actually came with multi game disc, some with enhanced music, and I think there was only one game that actually had enhanced graphics, enhanced music, enhanced sound. Streets of Rage sounded very, very weird because it was like it was so clear. It didn't have that same grit. And Columns actually had its own tune. There was a new musical tune for the beginning of the game, and then of course it also came with a CDI type of game, like interactive, where it showed videos and stuff. And I forgot what else. Oh yeah, and it came with oh gosh, what else did it come with? Oh, music CD. It came with music, like music. You can actually play because you can sample. You can play music with your Sega CD on it too. So I mean, it was awesome. I mean, listen, Sega CD was nothing to sneeze at. I was able to play Make My Video, Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch one, and I think there was another Make My Video with was it MC Hammer? I think it was. And then I think there's a few other games that I actually played too. I think it was called Road something. Oh goodness gracious! It was from the same people that made what was that game called? Oh man, can't remember the name. Oh, this is gonna kick my butt. Anyway, so yeah, I played a lot of games. I mean, Sega CD. I didn't get a chance to play Sonic CD. And all. I mean, listen, my years of gaming is so robust. I have been playing video games for extremely long time, and this is the reason why that I actually decided, hey, I'm about what, 46 years old, so 45 going on 46 this year, and I've actually experienced all different types of video games consoles that work well, game consoles that actually failed. I played the TurboGrafx 16 when it first came out, with games like Splatterhouse and Blazing Lasers, Legendary Axe, Vigilante. I got an opportunity to play the first handhelds, which was actually the Game Boy. I got a Game Boy for one Christmas. I think I was about 15 years old. 15, I think it was 15. 14 or 15. And I got Game Boy with the Tetris, and I forgot what other game that I actually got to. Goodness gracious, I forgot what the game was called. Oh my goodness gracious, what was it called? Well, basically it was Gradius, but there's another name for it. So I had that too. And I loved it. I mean, I really did. I mean, the era of gaming was really robust back then. So, So I can and also with the Neo Geo era. No, I did not own a Neo Geo. The Neo Geo was about $500. My mother was scoffing at me, and she was telling me, "Okay, then this is a true story. Okay, I have to tell you, this is a true story." They said that people who own a Neo Geo are drug dealers. I kid you not. I kid you not. They said people who actually own the Neo Geo were actually people who actually were making money doing illegal stuff. They said everybody, people who actually own Neo Geo and everything was actually dealing drugs, which is not true, but that's what they said. I guess it was just an excuse that to say, hey, you know what, you have expensive stuff. The cartridges that came with that actually was sold with the Neo Geo was what, I think $150, almost $200. Just be happy that games do not go into that extreme. The games that prices that you are playing today, and this is the reason why that I'm scoffing at everybody who is actually, games are so expensive. Listen, Super NES games are running at $60, $70 a piece back in the day. When the Super Metroid was going for $64.99, and this is back in the 90s. Okay, so all that talk about gaming is expensive. Listen, it's an expensive hobby. It really is. I mean, yes, in the hard times it is, but you just gotta understand that you just gotta learn how to budget. Listen, I wasn't able to get games all the time, but the thing is that I was able to play a lot of great, amazing games when I was younger. I mean, I had games were accessible all over the place. Arcades were accessible all over the place. You could actually go to any arcade, literally within a block. There was like one over in the pizzeria, not too far from where I was. There was a arcade over at the bowling alley, which was actually right up to from where I lived. There was another arcade and another bowling alley that you were nearby there. I mean, come on. I had to tell. I try to tell everyone that video games were huge back in the day, and but the problem is that it was also not as acceptable as it is today. So I know I'm rambling on, but you know what? I just wanted to kind of throw that out there. But I do have other hobbies too. I love to read. I also like to write. I used to write poetry. I don't write poetry anymore and everything. I mean, nowadays it's hard to write about anything. It's a lot of things depressing. I mean, war happens pretty much all the time. I mean, yeah, it was a peaceful time back then. This was actually the late the Bush senior era and the early Clinton era. So, but let's just roll into a couple of things that I actually wanted to kind of roll in there. So let's get started. Let's see. Yeah, let's talk about the gaming today. We're talking about what makes gaming as fun and also I don't know. Yeah, you just gotta we have right now an opportunity right now to get gaming pretty much back to balance. Now I've noticed nowadays that that social media has become this platform for a lot of people who like to grieve, and likes to argue and get frustrated about things. And as sad as that is, we as gamers have to be a little bit more responsible about it. Everybody's like, oh, but I shouldn't be everybody's babysitter. I'm not in control of everybody. Okay, yeah, I get it. I get it completely. But this is the reason why that I actually built this platform. Now, this platform is actually, believe it or not, it's about fun. It's about fun, excitement, having a good time. This is actually what we do. And I actually want to make this a little more exciting. So, I'm actually going to show you exactly what Hud Xero is all about. And we're going to do it in a very, very fun fashion. Now, check this out. Let's play a little game of give and take and how we can actually do that. Now, for starters, let's do the Reggie Fils-Aimé thing. Let's use the left side of our brains, all the way on the left side of our brains, and let's talk about what we can do as a gamer nation that can actually bring back the fun and excitement that we actually really would like to look for in gaming in general. Now, I understand that people right now are a little frustrated and upset because certain game companies are not giving them the games that they're looking for right now. But video games are is the lifeblood that kind of an escape, right? Check this out. Let's treat video games kind of like an art form, so to speak, right? Let's take the that essence of what we consider gaming into a form that builds a huge audience and everything of a fun and excitement, kind of like going to an amusement park. That first time you go to an amusement park and you actually get on that ride, and it's scary. You look up and you look at the roller coaster ride. You're like, oh my god. I don't want to go on this roller coaster ride. I really don't. It's too scary. Okay, it's scary for now, but once you get on that ride, right, and you go through the ups and downs and you scream your head off, and you lose your voice, as soon as the ride is over and you realize that you actually survived, what do? You want to go on it again. And you want to go on it again over and over and over again until you just can't take it anymore. Well, that's what video games should be. Listen, video games don't necessarily have to be super amazing, awesome, and everything for the eye. Look, judging a book by its cover, do you remember that saying? That saying is old. But okay, fine. Let's take it one step further. Do not judge your game by its picture. Don't judge a game by its picture. Judge a game by playing it. Play the games and then make your own judgment. Don't listen to all those pundits out there that sit right there and say, "Oh, I want to play these triple A bangers. I want goaties, as they call them. If you don't know what goatee is, it's game of the year quality. It's like going to a restaurant and all you want is the filet mignon. Eventually, you're gonna get tired of the filet mignon, no matter how many flavors they throw on that thing. What don't you want to try the sizzling entree and everything, or the blackened salmon, or a little bit of the garlic mashed potatoes? I mean, don't you want to do that? It makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense. And I tell you what makes things a little bit more eccentric about video games is that there is a variety of games that you can actually play that you might actually enjoy. Listen, there are so many games that I've actually played that actually surprised me. Take, for instance, Brock the Investigator. Okay, now I'm not gonna toot my own horn. It was a game that that seemed like, oh, well, it's a fighter, but then I find out that it's not a beat 'em up. It's pretty much like a punch and click adventure. So, hey, listen, you don't knock it until you try it. So, of course, I played it. 6 hours in, I was hooked. Number one, story. Amazing story. If you haven't played it yet, you gotta go on there. It's available on Steam. It's available on PlayStation 4 and 5. It's available on Xbox One and Xbox Series S and X. I believe it's also on Switch. Play it and you will actually enjoy it. It's more like a point and click adventure with also a battle mechanics. You can actually fight, and also you can use that to get into certain areas and stuff like that. But the story's compelling. It actually makes you think. It puts you in a situation or thing, and also the voice acting is impeccable. I mean, I didn't get a chance to actually see where all the voice actors are. Shout out to Cowcat Games that actually let me review that game. And I know it took me long to actually get the game fully reviewed, but it was solid. I mean, it was not like the greatest game of all time, but it's one of those games that I can actually get into. So it was an okay game. I actually liked it. I gave it a 3 out of 5. Not a 4. I mean, I was gonna put it at a 4, but the thing is that there were some puzzles that actually kind of threw me off, and also I think it was there was a couple parts in that thing where I actually got stuck, where I had to reset the game. But other than those bugs, still a great game. So, anyways, getting to the next thing. Games right now, because during the pandemic, there was a lot of games that actually weren't well done or well received. Well, the reason why is because, number one, some of the games were everyone had to be home. I mean, they had to, they either they caught COVID, or I hate mentioning it, but yeah, some people caught it, and some people had to stay home, stay at home, so they had to do their work from home, which is kind of upsetting. And it delayed. There was a ton of delays. I think Xbox actually suffered the worst, because this is their transition period where they were just trying to get their studios to make their games, but of course some of the studios had to slow down. They had to do their work from home. They didn't have the technology to be able to transfer their files, and everyone was screaming at the top of their lungs, "Oh my god, they're okay." All right, look, people have lives too. The people are people, right? People have lives too. People have families they have to take care of. They have their own health to be concerned about, right? Yes, you are paying customers, but remember, this is entertainment. This is not a lifeblood. This is only entertainment. And as everyone knows, that even with entertainment, there has to be some type of consideration about the people behind it. And this is what I want to get into, right? My second thing is that humans are behind the work that they do. I'm going to repeat that again. Humans are behind the work that they do. Every single person has feelings. Some people put their heart and soul in the work that they actually make. And if you guys or gals, can't have the consideration or the gumption. Like, for instance, I mean, everything's easy and everything when you're dishing it out. But if you can't take what you dish out, then maybe you have no business saying it in the first place. You really don't. You actually don't have the platform to stand on. And you're not standing on any platform. You're behind a keyboard and a mouse and a bunch of empty words all over the screen. A whole bunch of nobodies that have no business saying anything remotely of importance if you have nothing to say but negative and negative things about a certain individual. And you also lose your argument too. You lose your argument as well, because when you're losing your argument, you actually gain a weakness. You're how do I put this lightly? Your credibility gets thrown to the ground. It gets trampled on, okay? Your credibility is lost. You are only good by your first impression. Let me repeat that. You are only good by your first impression. If your first impression is actually showing off that you're as Boomstick with Mr. Boomstick, XL was put it, you're a D-bag. Okay? And this is where the problem lies. So let's try to show a little bit more restraint on certain things to say, and let's just construct it. Now, if you have constructive criticism, I can understand that, because everyone has that. Everyone has constructive criticism. Yeah, of course. But the thing is that once you actually do something that is attacking another person, it really shows where your insecurities actually lie. And then you actually put yourself in this box that you just can't get out of now. Because everyone now already sees you for who you actually are. Now, if you're not that kind of person and you're just doing that because it's peer pressure, I feel sorry for you, because you just became the sheep. You are no longer the shepherd. You are now a sheep. A sheep following a herd going off a cliff. That's what you are. And it's really sad. But if you have ideas, an idea, right? What is it that V for Vendetta? You ever seen that movie, V for Vendetta? There's an awesome quote, and I love the quote. It says, "There is only blood and flesh under the cloak that I wear. And under this cloak is an idea, and ideas are bulletproof." If you have an idea, you have strength. If you have an idea, you have strength. Ideas should be shared. Ideas can grow. Ideas can actually blossom into something greater. And me, I'm an idea man. I have ideas and you know what? And it gets crazy for me, because that's the reason why half of the time when I actually come up with a show, I never could come up with a one single thought process for what I want to do or say, because I have so much to say but so little time, and only the attention span of many people that are on there or that are in the program right now, are it is what it is, right? So let's go further. Let's go into more details. Yeah, let's make it funny. Let's make a funny. Um, let's go into games. You know, games as a service. Let's talk about that for a second. I mean, I'm very curious about how you feel about games as a service, right? What is games as a service? Games as a service is a game that actually has continue continual what is it? It's a service that you can actually be able to play for longer periods of time. That means for days, weeks, months, years, what have you, right? And you can be able to you can pay for items, and also there's seasons and what have you, and basically it's continual. You can go, for months, years, whatever, and you can keep coming back to it. Some people don't like the idea because they like games to be complete. Because there's so many games out there, they want to be able to have the opportunity to play the game to its completion and say, "Hey, I beat it," and then the game collects dust on your shelf. Now, I used to be that kind of guy. I mean, back in the day, like I was mentioning before in the beginning of this wonderful podcast, I said that video games you had to complete to completion to its entirety, because there was no save points. You had no choice. Either you pause the game. Actually, matter of fact, I'm sorry, that's false. There's only a few games that actually had the opportunity. I think it was Dragon Warrior and Legend of Zelda and the Adventures of Link. Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about there was another game. Star Tropics. Star Tropics actually, believe it or not, have save spots too. It actually had a save feature. Star Tropics and Star Tropics 2 had a save feature. But yeah, everything else was passwords. I think it was Castlevania. Castlevania had saves. I said so had save passwords. Let's see what else. Eight Eyes had passwords. Xanadu actually had a save feature also. I forgot about that game. Gosh, there's a lot of games that actually did. I mean, I am so old school. I mean, I can go on and on. It's too bad that Battle of Olympus didn't have save spots, because that game was hard. It had amazing graphics too. These are all NES games too, by the way. So, but anyway, I digress. But games as a service is an opportunity to be able to play games continuously. For instance, Fantasy Star Online, which actually does Final Fantasy 14. That's a games as a service. Genshin Impact. Outriders is a games as a service. Didn't really do too well. Well, I mean, it's still on. I mean, they believe it or not, you can still play the game right now. But that was one. Let's see. Sea of Thieves. That's a games as a service. I can go on and on and on. And you know what? And right now there are a few Eastern companies that are slowly transitioning into that field, and some people are afraid of it. I don't understand why that people are afraid of it, because I guess they're afraid that they can't have ownership of the games that they have. Like, you're afraid to lose your favorite toy. Oh, I get you. There are things that actually are that have sentimental value, and there's a lot of things that I own that has a lot of sentimental value. But you know what? Those games can't go with you in the afterlife. So my suggestion is that sometimes you have to let certain things go or pass it on, which makes perfect sense. But you know, video games have a vast majority, a plethora, if you will, of different genres and play styles. And if you like a certain play style, that's good for you. That is good for you because you're gaming, dude. You, my friend, are gaming. And as sad as it is, nobody wants change because it's a territory that they probably have not experienced, and if they're afraid that gaming will not have that robust experience that they actually like or love. For instance, and I hate to put some certain gamers on the block, on the so to speak, but there are certain PlayStation fans, excuse me, that are called fanboys, or I'm not going to use the other word because I don't like using derogatory stereotypes on my channel, but fanboys, right? Fanboys, fangirls, whatever, big mega fans of the PlayStation brand that feel that video games that they get on the console should have a certain quality that should stay the same for all eternity, so they have something to talk about. I mean, let's just put it to this way. That's what they want to do. They want to brag about the things that they have. And they want to claim that, hey, this right here is what you need to reach for. This is what you... Okay. All right, look. I get that. Video games should actually get to that certain point. But you know what? Video games that are not that at that point, or at least they tried to get to that point, should be celebrated too. Okay, and you're saying, oh, they shouldn't be acceptable, but you know what? Games of that acceptance have huge budgets that some developers just can't reach. Okay, not everyone has multi-million dollars to actually throw around. Not only that, for their constituents, which is their employees, but even for the things that they're actually they have the assets that they're getting and the time. You got to think about that too. And I know people are against crunch culture, as am I. Crunch culture is something that's frowned upon in the gaming world, the gaming industry. So let's have a little bit of consideration, for the people behind these games. And besides, games as a service, it helps games survive because there are a lot of gamers out there that would like to be able to jump in at whatever time there is, right? And, build their character up. Get to level 40, get to level 50, get to level 60. Get new weapons, get new skins, earn it. I earned this because you actually put the time in, you put the efforts in, and you had fun with it. And it's their choice if they actually want to be able to get little aesthetics and everything that they have to pay for, because it's their choice. It's their money, it's their choice. If they want to be able to purchase extra stuff, let them. It's their money, it's their time, let them do it. You don't have to. And stop trying to convince everybody to get, what to do with their money. Listen, if they want certain things, they should have it. And that's going to be my next topic. But right now, I'm going to go through this intermission. I'm going to go through this break. And I will be right back in about 10 minutes. Stay tuned. We are back. We are back. We are back. We are back. Yes. So, anyways, I'm actually was in the kitchen making some taco meat for our tacos for tonight. It's taco night. Taco. Yes, sir. That's right. So, anyways, with all the fixings, of course. Now, let's get into our next topic, which I think is going to be, I guess it's going to be a little fun one. Why not? Let's talk about this ABK deal that's going on. I've been hearing a lot of rumbles about it. I mean, look, don't get me wrong. I have been really on the fence about all this stuff because, I mean, look, this is all corporate speak. You know, I mean, all I care about is what the outcome is going to be from all this stuff. So, but I've been hearing all this hubbub about Microsoft, you know, going after ABK, Sony not liking the deal whatsoever. Jim Ryan, who's actually been fighting tooth and nail to try to get the deal blocked. Then, of course, all this stuff happening at the FTC, our FTC. And Linda Khan, who actually is the head of the FTC, has been being a very naughty girl, you know, because, you know, she has been putting the political nonsense ahead of all this stuff. And instead of fighting the good fight, so to speak, she's going to try to go up against big tech. And I mean, from what I've been hearing, and there's been a lot of podcasts about it, and they showed huge documents. Some going for 140 pages, other ones going for about 11 pages, 13 pages, what have you. And then, of course, the regulatory bodies in the UK and the CMA. That we are talking about, I don't know, some great things that have really rattled the whole entire industry about competition, what should be legal when it comes to acquisitions, Call of Duty, which is pretty much what it's all about, and which is one of the biggest video game franchises in history, next to Grand Theft Auto 5. I really have no particular interest in all of this stuff. I mean, I get it. You want to hear my opinion about it? Okay, well, fine. I will give you mine. The deal doesn't harm anybody. Let me just be clear, okay? Sony has a long history of actually acquiring devs. Now, this is actually dates all the way back to 1989. Now, I actually have a huge list of all of these acquisitions, so to speak, that Sony has actually have had since its inception back in 1989 when the console first came out. Now, if you want to find out the history, you can always look it up yourself. But yeah, PlayStation had quite a bit of acquisitions, and also a lot of how do I put it? Money hatting, so to speak. That yeah, it's I mean, the list is huge. The list is huge. Oh man, I could go. I mean, look, this dates all the way back to believe it was May 1993. Now, 1989 is when they actually first announced the PlayStation. It was supposed to come out for the Super NES as a add-on. So the Super NES was going to have, and they made a partnership with Sony Computer Entertainment, and they were going to have a CD add-on. But of course, Nintendo kind of gave Sony the shaft because I don't know what the logistics were behind that. It must have been something dealing with who was going to be getting what. And then of course Panasonic, and I think was it Panasonic that actually was supposed to partner up with them with Nintendo, and that fell through too. And Nintendo decided to just stick with cartridge. So you know the history in that, and that's where the Nintendo 64 came in, or was it the GameCube? Yeah, Nintendo 64. So Sony, in their right minds, decided, okay, well, we are just gonna make our own console, and that's where things actually got into a huge pickle, so to speak. They needed developers. They didn't have any developers. I mean, yeah, they had Sony Interactive, but Sony Interactive was not necessarily a division. It actually became, I believe, it was Sony Computer Entertainment in the future, but they needed to be bigger, so they started acquiring some of their developers, so to speak. Of course, Crash Bandicoot, you know, a big franchise. It was actually almost the face of PlayStation. They are part of Naughty Dog, and Naughty Dog was actually acquired in January 2001. And also Sony Bend. Well, those who called Sony Bend at the time. It was actually called Bend Studio. And Bend Studio was a studio that pretty much had smaller titles, and of Psygnosis. Now, you remember Psygnosis actually for the PC. When you think of like Shadow of the Beast and Lemmings, and those are the games that they were really big into. So they acquired them, and then of course further on they actually acquired Incognito. Now Incognito, who was a developer in Salt Lake City, they created Twisted Metal. And they also developed Warhawk, well, the failed title that came up for the PlayStation 3 as well as War of the Monsters. Now, these are some of the titles that you might be familiar with because, hey, that was actually part of the PlayStation brand. 989 Studios was never purchased by Sony. It was a partnership. Some people thought, oh, they bought them. No, 989 was not a part of it. So that was a no-go. Let's see. Then of course Guerrilla Games. They were actually purchased in December of 2005. Zipper Interactive, another company that actually was developed. They developed games such as the Mech Warriors and Crimson Skies, believe it or not. See this now this the plot thickens. Now everyone wonders why Crimson Skies they never made a sequel. They were actually able to port the game from the OG Xbox to the Xbox One, via backwards compatibility. But they actually did help create Crimson Skies, and of course the Mech Warrior series. But they also created SOCOM for the PlayStation. Now that's when they actually acquired them during the PlayStation 2 era. So SOCOM, the big title that everyone's been asking for, that Sony decides, we're not gonna do that because it didn't do too well. Dude, bring back SOCOM. Sony, hey. Sony, yes, you. SOCOM, moneymaker. Why do you need Call of Duty? You don't need Call of Duty. SOCOM SOCOM is your Call of Duty. SOCOM is a gold mine. It will print money. You want games as a service? Games as a service. SOCOM. Games as a service. Big winner. Bring SOCOM back. Find a developer. You got developers. Bungie can help. What are you doing? It makes no sense. I'm confused. I'm baffled. I'm flabbergasted. It makes no sense. I have no idea. But SOCOM should be coming back. I don't understand that. It makes no sense. Anyway. Then of course the single games online. They were actually a small one. They actually made EverQuest. EverQuest is still, I guess it was, a big thing. And then of course World of Warcraft, obviously, because Blizzard actually took over, so they actually sold the series to Blizzard. So there you have it. Evolution Studios, or Big, which actually was actually, believe it or not, they actually were a part of Ocean. Now remember Ocean Studios? They actually made some pretty interesting games for the Super NES. And I believe it was another one. And Infogrames, there's another one. They made quite a few, like World Rally Championship and what have you. But they created MotorStorm. Now that's another game that needs to come back for the PlayStation. They only made 3 titles for MotorStorm, and then of course they also made a Vita version called MotorStorm RC, which is actually like remote control. Then of course there's also Drive Club, which actually was a short-lived game. Still an amazing game, and graphically it was a graphically amazing game. That's a game that that could have rivaled even Forza today. But of course, game that they decided to just throw it to the wind, and then it went bye. So sad but true. All right, hold on 1 second. I have to check on something. Give me a minute. Okay, give me 1 second. I'm actually gonna come right back. Okay. What's up, ladies and gentlemen? How you doing? It's Hud Xero again with some more information. I'm sorry, I'm a little out of breath because I had to drop my sons off some food, and of course I had to make sure that food was actually ready. But let's get back into it. Let's get back into the little conversation we were having about Sony's acquisition, shall we? I mean, Sony actually had a lot of big acquisitions. So, we already talked about a few. We talked about Sony Ben, Psychosis, and Incognito, Zipper Interactive. Now, some of these guys have actually merged into other studios as well, just to give you a heads up. That's how they actually got their Sony Interactive Entertainment division. Then, of course, we have Sucker Punch. Sucker Punch was actually purchased in 2011. So we're talking about almost a decade before they actually got into some more acquisitions. Sucker Punch, and then of course Gaikai, they actually got that. See, Sony has pretty much have gotten a few acquisitions beforehand, but also they did do a lot of underhanded things as well. Now, look, I'm not saying that Microsoft is actually a clean, squeaky clean competitor as well, because under their old management, they had a few, let's just say, a few things that were actually under the radar as well. Now, I'm not saying that, we talked about capitalism. I mean, on both sides there is, there was some dirty dealings, because I mean it's harsh and ugly when it comes to business. It's not show friends, it's show business. Partnerships actually sometimes are under the table, and we actually laughed about this too because this is years ago. My friends were like, yeah, at the end of the day, they're all friends in the end, right? Well, yeah, they are friends when it comes to the persons, the people behind it. But but when it comes to corporate, they're really enemies, and they'll actually shake your hand with one hand and actually have the knife in their back on the other. So when it boils down to this acquisition deal, Sony wants to, let's just say, they want things to be the status quo. They want things to be the same. The deals that they actually make, in their contracts that they actually make, earns them quite a bit of money, and also saves them money in the end as well. So when you look at companies like Insomniac Games have made several games like Ratchet and Clank, Jak and Daxter, and let's see, Ratchet and Clank, Jak and Daxter. What other games have you made? I'm not really sure. I think. Yeah, that was that's pretty much the pinnacle. Then they actually made Spider-Man when they came back. But they made also for the Xbox, they made Sunset Overdrive. But the contracts that they created are an epitome of the kind of company that they actually are. They are mostly a hardware company. Software is their secondary. They make the money off their hardware. Xbox or the Microsoft in general, they're all about software. They're a software-based company. So they have two different sides to the coin. Now, Microsoft could obviously sit comfortably about just doing software because that's what they're known for. And if you actually remember the, I think it was 2005. Was it 2005? the Microsoft presentation over at E3, where Jay Allen was actually talking about, it's all about software. The software is actually what makes the game. And the technology behind the software, that's what it's all about. Which is probably the reason why that, Microsoft, when it comes to creating hardware, they're not the greatest when it comes to hardware. I mean, don't get me wrong; they actually do make pretty decent computers, but of course, their partnerships are with Dell and Hewlett Packard, which actually creates their hardware, and Microsoft and their engineers. They pretty much were in the baby stages. The software that they deal with is Windows, and of course the open source technologies that they actually deal with. So when it comes down to like raw power, Xbox was pretty much, when it first came out, it was raw power because it was all PC parts that they actually were using, which is the reason why the console was so heavy and so big. And also, it actually had a hardware cache, which is the reason why the games actually ran faster and better and clearer, and they were able to do more, of that sort. So, getting which I actually just opposed that into the conversations with the ABK deal. Sony feels threatened that Microsoft is not going to know what to do with the acquisition once they get it. In other words, they're going to ruin or actually downgrade the quality of Call of Duty, which is what they're afraid of. Now, I find that a bunch of nonsense because, I'm pretty sure Activision will have more tools in their repertoire, so to speak, to create an even better experience because they'll actually have more time and more resources. And of course, with Microsoft software technologies, they could be able to utilize, I guess, better opportunity to take the technology and be able to downsample it a bit to work better for other consoles. Like, for instance, they said they're going to have Call of Duty on Switch. People said that it's going to be streaming on Switch. I think this is actually a loose quote, but they did. I think a representative from Microsoft said that they're able to natively put Call of Duty games on the Switch console. Now, I think that they're gonna wait until Nintendo decides to bring out their new console, which is probably going to be relatively soon, because right now, since the market has been so saturated, there's so many Nintendo Switches out there because pretty much everyone is using it as a secondary console, and the games are still pretty relatively good, but the sales are starting to slow down, and because the sales are slowing down, and they actually thrive off of the hardware sales, not just software, they're pretty much forced. Their hand is forced to come up with a more powerful console. Now, how powerful the console is going to be, I have a feeling that it's not going to be crazy expensive. I'm very sure of it. It's not going to be crazy expensive. So they're going to probably just kiss the higher technology, so that way the costs are down and they're able to make it more accessible to the masses, so they can sell more consoles, because that's what they're known for. And the software, the games, are going to speak for themselves. They're Marios, they're Zeldas, they're Donkey Kongs. All that is actually going to be speaking for themselves and how say, hey, we don't need high powered anything. All we need to do is utilize the software, the hard, to bring out what we are meant to do, make games. So I think right now, Sony is in a pickle. There's no doubts about it. I mean, they don't want the deal. They don't want the deal to go through. Obviously, they actually even said it themselves. Jim said it himself. He says that he just does not want a new deal with Call of Duty. He just wants the deal blocked. He does not care about the deal because, believe it or not, the status quo is making them a lot of money. Their deal, they actually make, I think, what was it? Several $billion off the Call of Duty franchise alone, just for the marketing rights, and of course, and they give, I think they give ABK a nice little lump sum. I think it was like 30% or something like that, which is higher than normal. So they actually making some very, very good bank for it. But the thing is, in the interim, the games for Sony, because of how close the contract actually is, and because they have the marketing rights, they want the games to be actually look better and run better, and actually have better marketing than their competitors, i.e., Xbox, and then of course PC. And they want their console to be the best place to play. Point blank. Sony wants to be known as the best place to play. They said it themselves. This is actually way, way back. And you know what? I can vouch for this. I think Bill Gates has said it. Steve Ballmer has said it. And I believe, and of course, several other executives have said it. Sony wants to own the living room. Their goal was. That's what they're striving for, and they have almost achieved it. Almost. I'm not saying they have. They haven't. They haven't yet. Because right now, even though they have all these consoles, the software is not matching up. They're only selling 25 million, 30 million of some of the higher consoles, and then 1.5, 2 million of some of the lesser games. It's not enough. Why? This is the reason why that they are slowly transitioning themselves into a games as a service, so they can actually earn more revenue. And also they're actually tapping into PC, so they can actually get more revenue as well. And because of this, because of all these things, they pretty much got blindsided in a sense by ABK, because of course they are already still in contract. They're still in contract right now until 2024 for Call of Duty. But the problem is that once Microsoft actually has ownership of the Call of Duty franchise, which is actually, i.e., under the ABK deal, then how do we put this? The games are going, the games that they are supposed to, pretty much have ownership of, they're going to lose. The contract is going to be lost, and the money, the revenue that they're supposed to get, they lose it. They're going to lose a huge chunk. Now the thing is, in this deal, Microsoft was actually saying, "Hey, we're going to throw you a bone, and we're going to offer you $1.5 billion or whatever it is for whatever you're going to do with the Call of Duty." So Sony doesn't want that. Sony says that you guys, since you guys have Game Pass, since you guys have this, that, and you have all this, and you have cloud gaming, you guys have the upper hand. That's what they're saying. And because they're saying that they have the upper hand, all this deal is pretty much no. I mean, there's no ways buts about it. And a lot of people, listen, I'm on both sides of the fence, because I really don't care. I mean, I don't give a hoot. I mean, Call of Duty, I mean, it's not really my jam. I do play Call of Duty once in a blue moon, but everyone else, they don't care what Call of Duty is. All they do is care about that they get to play it. End of story. But Sony is afraid because they're going to lose all of those players. Even a small drop, 3%, 4% drop of Sony console owners switching to another competitor's console because the deal is better to get Call of Duty. That they actually either A, save money, or they actually have more people to play with. Which I think is kind of ridiculous because, I mean, so Xbox is all about crossplay. They want more players. That's their goal. They want more people. They want more eyes on the game. And they even told the CMA. They told the UK regulators. They told the EU. They told them. They said, listen, hey, we want more players to have eyes on this game. We don't want to take any players away. We don't want Sony not to have Call of Duty. We're not trying to take games away. We're all about building the fan base. 150 billion more players will have eyes on it, which is the reason why they actually made this deal. Actually, I think it was today, or was it yesterday? But I think it was called a booster. I forgot what the group is called. But yeah. I mean, it's a cloud service that I've never heard of, believe it or not. But it's actually based in Ukraine. I don't know if it's for a political thing or whatever. But yeah. I don't know. I really find it kind of, disingenuous. Sorry. To claim that that your company is gonna go under, or gaming is going to be ruined because someone is going to have ownership of a game that you gain massive profits from. You're thinking about yourself, okay, Sony. You're thinking about yourself, not the gamers, not the consumers. You're thinking about yourself. And when I think about gaming, I want gaming to grow. I want more people to play. Am I a fan of exclusives? Yes and no. Yes, because it actually identifies the console that you own. No, because it actually isolates the people that can't afford to buy the second console, or who doesn't want to get a second console. But then again, you don't necessarily need a console because you can actually play it on PC, and you can also play it via the cloud, and you can also play it on your phone. So you have the options, which is actually what Xbox and Sony, Xbox and the Microsoft brand is actually trying to offer you. They are offering you an opportunity to be able to play anywhere you want, which I find a very pro-consumer thing. Now, some people actually don't like that idea because they feel like streaming is actually going to be the thing, and that you won't be able to get physical copies, and that the quality will go down. Now, here's the thing. I still feel that you have the opportunity, get this, you have the opportunity right now to put them on blast. You have the right to put them on blast, and if the game quality actually goes down, you have the power to be able to say, hey, you know what? We don't like the fact that your game consoles, that your games are actually losing quality. We don't like you. You know what? You know how you can actually destroy a company by not buying their product. That's how you destroy a company. You destroy a company by not buying their product. If you don't like the services, you don't like the product, you'll stop buying it. You cancel your service. That's how you do it. Okay? The money in your wallet is the power. Your wallet is the power. So if you feel like a company is not doing what you like, then you stop buying their products. If you don't like the burgers that they serve at Mickey D's, stop going to Mickey D's. Plain and simple. Point blank. Stop acting like that you have to try to get a coalition of people behind you and everything just to justify your decision. Just stop. Listen, you have the power. Stop being a sheep. Okay? The ledge is over that way. All those sheep and everything are about to jump off. Don't get caught up in that crowd, dudes. Well, we're going on to like 3 hours now. So check this out. I'm actually going to do this final 15-20 minutes, and I want to talk about the future of gamers play. And if you have joined me, or if you want to, please, feel free to go ahead and leave a message or what have you. So let's get into a couple of things. All right. First, I want to talk about exactly what my plans are for the rest of the the gamers play season, so to speak. I'm actually gonna be going to E3 this year. And so, yes, that's right. I'm going to be going there. I'm going to be there, I believe, from the 11th to the 14th. I actually will get an opportunity to talk and chat with a whole bunch of guys from all over. I am also going to do my best to I guess try to hook up with us a few people. I mean, listen, the more people, the merrier. If you're interested, just let me know. Hit me up in the chat or go to my Twitter. And my Twitter page, of course, is at Hud Xero, HUDXERO. Let me know. And definitely on the 11th, they're going to have. I mean, because I heard that Xbox and Sony and Nintendo are not going to be at this E3 this year, which is kind of disappointing. I don't know what the remnants of E3 is going to be, but I heard that there are going to be a lot of vendors there, and a lot of indie studios going to be there as well. So you know what? To be honest with you, maybe this is actually a good thing, because I get to try different games and stuff like that. And also, I think Arcade 1-Up supposedly is going to be there. So I get an opportunity to firsthand try a few of the Arcade 1-Up style cabinets, newer ones. I don't know which ones they will show at the time. We'll see. I don't know. Also, an upcoming show, I'm actually going to visit one of shops that are actually local from where I'm at. Is located over at the Palisades Mall. It's called True Believers. Great name. They actually deal with a lot of nostalgia, memorabilia, like anime and classic characters, horror, and of course old classic Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Genesis games, whatever. All used games. You can go and buy and trade them, whatever you want to do. Get a credit, and it's pretty cool. I actually like it. I mean, I actually talked to the owner, and I'm actually going to be doing an interview very soon, so it's something to look forward to. I'm also going to be with Man About Town. We're going to talk about food. We're going to talk about places to eat. Also good snack ideas. I got a lot. Of course, my sponsorship. Gamer Grind Coffee. They are so kindly to So they helped me out with a few things. I actually want to promote them as much as I possibly can. They have amazing coffee. Like I told you, that Skillshot. I actually like that one. Like the flavor. The flavor is very smooth. I actually enjoy that one, and there's a few others I actually want to try as well. They also have mugs and hats and coasters, a lot of other different things. Um, Another thing, I actually wanted to also do more shows during the week. I just had to work my schedule around them. I believe I'm going to be starting to be more open to earlier afternoons. So, of course, you're going to probably see me possibly possibly earlier in the afternoons because it turns out that late at night is just not happening. Um, I also am given an opportunity to, try to, I guess, chat it up with people. Just to say, hey, I really want to try to interact a little bit more, be able to game more. I'm actually going to be doing more streams. Of course, you already know I do Retro Mondays where I just do classic games. Either try to do speed runs, or I actually attempt to do high score runs. I'm actually trying to see if I could do some twin galaxy record breaking, which is going to be a hard task, and I think, but I'm very very capable of doing it. I actually have been a guy who likes to be competitive, especially when it comes to classic games. So high scoring games. So this is my jam. I wanted to also do something dealing with I guess on Fridays I'm trying to do more of a arcade reminiscent of the arcade, where I actually talk about some arcade games that either I have played or several people may have played that never had an opportunity to either come back, or maybe even a game that might I wish that would actually show up on the arcade one up stage. Well, who knows? Because right now I'm still wondering why games like Paperboy, games like Super Off Road, or Spy Hunter. I mean, gosh, games like that. I don't understand why those games don't even don't even show up. But anyway, that's just this is a few ideas. Shout out to anybody and everybody who actually has come to my channel. Thank you for giving me a chance. I'm actually going to start doing more open mics. I think you know what, I feel like Tuesday should be an open mic night. So I'm actually going to make Tuesday an open mic session where I just talk about live about a whole bunch of stuff that's going on. What's going on in the gaming industry. And what we can do to make gaming better, and what I've been playing. Speaking of which, what I've been playing. Get my hands dirty. I'm gonna try to play a little bit more of the. I think it was the Inshin, like a dragon Inshin. So I'm actually gonna try to get myself into that. And I'm trying to finish Atomic Heart. Right now I think I'm stuck at it like one of the bosses. And I should have backtracked, and I might have to backtrack and go all the way back because I'm stuck in a spot that I can't get past that save. So, and I have no bullets. Yeah, remember when you're actually playing that game, craft as many bullets as you possibly can. Make sure that you actually save them up, and also try to have a good mixture of health and bullets. And also don't be afraid to actually take your weapons apart because you can actually craft bigger and better ones. Those are some tips for you. Tips and tricks. Get away from you cheaters. So anyway, I do also have a tips and tricks as well. I don't know if you actually had an opportunity to take a look at that. I might just throw that up because I don't think a lot of people actually seen it. So let me see if I can actually pop that one up And if I do, I'll bring it up and you can enjoy that while I give you the outro. So anywho, I just wanted to just point out one last thing for you guys before I go. And you guys are awesome. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. Just remember to stay gaming and to keep gaming and also stay awesome. So let's find that file. If I can find the file, I'm actually going to put it up, and then we can get the heck out of here. And I'm pretty sure you'll like it. Let's see if I can find it. Okay. Yeah. Here we go. I think I found it. I actually put this on put it on Twitter, but if it's the first time you're actually seeing it, you know, why not? And I'm pretty sure you'll like it. Yeah. Nope. That's not it. There we go. Found it. Alright. Let's see. Alright. No, I don't want that. Nope, that's not it. That's not it. So, funny story. I remember when I first got started with this gaming stuff. I actually had a fun time when I actually got started with this. Is actually when Xbox One was first announced, and I was just using my digital camera, figuring nothing to it. That's when I was doing the Xbox Mafia thing. You know, it was actually a little fun, little romp. You know, but of course, you know, I actually got a bad rep because a lot of people said that we were you know, very toxic, which we really weren't. We were just trying to say that that, you know, Xbox should be getting a chance, and obviously nobody did. So that's the reason why it's kind of sad that that people actually didn't do that. Okay, well, it looks like I found it. All right, so let me go ahead and show you. Here we go. All right. Yeah. All right, here we go. Enjoy. This is Gamers Play TNT. Are you tired of being just over broke? Being a private detective is not the easy job, especially for Brock. How about this new trick that can earn you some extra dough? After you get captured and interrogated, you will be placed in a cell right next to Sim. You will see a series of buttons that are actually along the wall. One of the buttons will actually activate your bed and also your feeding post. Once you press that button, go to the computer monitor screen and you click on the book option and then press the arrow to go to the third screen. Then you will get an error screen like this.
Device has outdated firmware.
Then it will ask you to update the firmware. Press yes, and then you will go into a next screen that will actually show a download. Download will stop at 99%, and then it will ask you to start the software all over again.
The update failed. Error 0x. Unknown error. Restarting now with default firmware.
Kidding.
Ignore the network protocol and then go to books again, and then you will notice it will actually show 999 pages instead. Now start doing your normal scrolling to the right. Eventually you'll get yourself to a corrupted file. Ignore the corrupted file a couple of times, and then on page 5 you actually earn yourself an ad. Once you actually earn that ad, continue scrolling right.
Cool.
You will have to do this 994 more times. Then, cha-ching, you earned the jackpot, baby. 50,000 monies is actually added to your account. Who'd have thought?
Huh? Did I really get all this money?
Now go get 'em, big spender. Now you can get whatever you need. More tips and tricks? Come visit my Twitter every single time. This is Hud Xero, and get out of here, you cheater.